look, we're making the new counterculture whether they want it or not. So who's going to run the non-woke answer to Newsarama or the non-autistic IGN?
Ladies and gentlemen, you know him. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who's running IronAge.media, creating Anvil, the anthology.
Iron Age.
Iron Age. Who even
so-called
knows?
Iron Age. Yeah.
My next co-host, the man who will absolutely make you change. And by making you change, what I mean by that is he is going to help you change from having that story in your head to putting it on paper and putting it into people's hands. And this is the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel P. Riley of whimsyland.org.
Number one Iron Age Booty Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. Welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. I am buying a goat. I love goat. We have a show this evening, or we don't, and it all stops here. That's fine. And so cometh the Iron Age of media. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Age Nights. Oh, good Lord, ladies and gentlemen. I am unbelievably excited, if you can't tell. Oh, it makes me happy. It makes me happy, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for being here. I see everybody down in the chats below. Do me a favor, everybody. Share this stream out to all of the places that you know. That would be really, really helpful, especially for this channel. And also, if you guys are the super chatter types, you can absolutely super chat over on Rumble if that's your gig. Or I also have a direct link that to PayPal that you guys can just screw all the middle guys and just send it directly to me with a message for us, the hosts, or for our fantastic guest. And that is the way that I am working this channel right now while I am building the live stream channel. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so freaking excited tonight. You have no freaking clue. So without any further ado, let's say hello to the chat. I got to say hello to the chat, and then I got to say hello to people, and then I got to say hello to our guest.
Hello, chat.
What's up? Over on the Rumbles, we got Garham. What's going on, man? It's good to see you over there, Garham. Over on the YouTube side, we've got, oh, good Lord, it's not scrolling. There it is. We got Gorilla Mar. What's going on? He is going to catch the VOD a little later. Horizon Talker, it's good to see you. We got Crimson Law. What's going on? We have whimsyland.org in the chat. Raven Nevermore, what's going on? It's good to see you. Lord Sandwich. No, I refuse. Lord Sandwich, what's going on? It's good to see you, man. We got Bat Sauce as well. Garham's double dipping right now. We got AS Bruner as well. It's good to see you. Avely Music says LGF. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. LGF. Think about it, Chris. It's like LFG, but swap the G and the F. Anyway. Liu, it's good to see you, man. Pritchard Pub, what's going on? I am trying to get a date. I'm going to clear Thursday very soon to get on with Pritchard Pub because I need to do that. And I'm saying that publicly because I need to do that thing. So, chat, you guys got to hold me to that. You guys are always good at shaming me. Devaney Wilson, it's good to see you. Hey, I know that person. Kind of. DCC, what's going on? Oxen W, it's good to see you. We got Iron Age Media as well. Redoubt Productions. Tom Highland. God, I am so freaking excited for the night. But before we go on, Richard, how you been, man? How you doing this week?
I've been good. It's been a busy week. Dropped a few things today for Anvil Magazine. Dropped the trailer for issue number 4 that Jake put together. So that's looking great.
Awesome.
The work on issue 4 continues. I also had a update. I'm bringing on Sean CW Korsgaard as the managing editor, starting with issue 5. So he's going to be helping out.
There you go.
He'll be reading submissions for number 6, and I've got a few more people helping with the slush pile now. So it's going to be, or at least I will have a few more people helping me with the slush pile once I get the slush pile, into one Google folder where everybody can look at it at the same time. So
You were the
once I do a few more things, it'll be a little bit more on the way.
That
but
was the one thing that when you were like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna have to step back from Iron Age Nights and I'll maybe pop on once in a while, but like I can't be a permanent host." I was like, "Fuck, who's gonna manage our Google fucking?"
that can live there. It takes up very little space. I have no worries about that. And I'll resend you the spreadsheet that you already have access to every time you ask me.
Dude, for some reason, it finally started working on my phone eventually because that's where I do most of everything. Because I'm never
finally
around.
Started working. It
I am never
definitely just
around.
a random. What a surprising.
what
a mystery. Definitely not
I
user
tell
error.
Google, don't save shit. So Google's like, hey, you need to relog back in, and every time I would relog back in, it would forget like what page it wanted me. I was like, oh god, Google. So I'd click the link. It was like, you need to relog back in. I was like, I just did that. It was. Hi, Richard.
Yeah, but it's been a good week. Let's see here. I guess I've got tomorrow night. I don't know if it's actually up on YouTube or not, but I'm going to be doing the second part to the little 40K breakdown that I did a few weeks ago. I'm going to have Mage
you
Leader.
got some good viewership on that, I saw.
Yeah, it did. I'm going to have Mage Leader and TJ Marquis on for that. We're going to be taking the pieces and kind of making something different out of it. I have an idea for flipping the Warhammer concept on its head a little bit while still being able to preserve a lot of the things that people liked about what they, or at least what we identified as being key factors that
So you're going to
liked.
subvert everybody's expectations, got it?
Yeah, I'm subverting expectations, but not in the crappy way that everybody has gotten used to,
I
unfortunately.
know, right? It's like, well, I expect this to be crappy. And, oh, this is actually good? Well, look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Mr. Daniel P. Riley from whimsyland.org, man. How are you doing this week, man?
I'm tired, but I'm doing well. Very
Well, that
excited to sit down and talk with Chris again.
Oh, dude, this is going to be awesome. I've been waiting for this one. Like, it's, looks like you're
me
gearing
too.
up. Looks like you're gearing up for G Sedai 2 as well. I saw,
Yeah, man.
saw you tweeting
Couple
out
more
about that.
weeks.
Dude, I'm so freaking excited. Yeah. That's, I can't reach that far.
The color pop work on issue number 2's done. The art contest closed out, and I announced the winner earlier today. A very cool submission from a artist that
God. Nope.
I hadn't actually previously met. Many people dropped some submissions into my email, and then this one came in right at the last minute. Surprisingly, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. So, after thinking about it and deliberating with my daughter, they ended up being the winner overall.
That's freaking awesome, dude. That's awesome.
But yeah, color pops are almost done. I'm waiting on one variant cover from a very special artistic guest that I reached out to and had time to work on it. And I suspect the campaign will be ready to rock and roll by the end of the month.
Sweet. That's awesome, dude. That's freaking
4 months
awesome.
turnaround, folks.
There you go.
Dude,
That's
we
good.
got your book fast, man. We got your book really fast. I was surprised.
Yeah, it took me a month to fulfill the last campaign, and I was already working on issue number 2 before that even finished fulfilling. So
That's freaking great.
it's a bit of a surprise, especially doing the color pop on top of doing the black and white, because I have to wait for my wonderful colorist daughter to finish with each of the pages doing her color accents. But she's been super fast
got an eye
at it
for that too, dude.
Mhm.
She's got a really good.
Oh,
eye
yeah,
for
this
going, the
one's-
color needs to be here. The color needs to be here.
Yeah.
Genuinely impressed.
This one is just as good, if not better. And she's been bugging me every day. She sends me a text message like, hey, look at the folder. I need your opinion. Does that look right?
Yo, that's freaking cool, dude. That's awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the guy, actually, you know what? I'm going to look it up right now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a thing.
Show it off.
It's not going to be like that, but so ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest who was one of the first guests on on the show, and I have
Yes,
to look
indeed.
at and it was episode, let me do this really quickly. Episode 2, Iron Age Nights, number 2, featuring Christopher Moonlight Productions, and he is finally back. He is back. He's got he's working on and making some amazing progress with his film, Escape from Planet Omega 12. I've been following that very closely, and every time I see updates, I lose my crap over it. And not only that, however, I have to say something that just recently happened. I get to welcome for the first time on this channel, I think, as far as I know, but I get to say it for the first time on this channel, an award-winning indie film creator to the show, Chris. Man, I lost it when I saw that. That was so freaking cool, dude. Like, I usually start off with what's your journey? How did you get, and we did that the last time you were on, and I will absolutely put that link down if you guys want to see Iron Age Nights number 2 with Chris. But dude, just for everybody out there, what was the award? How did you get nominated? How did that whole process work? What were you nominated for? Like, I want all of it, man. Like, so excited to see that. So excited for you.
Thank you so much, man. It means a lot. And I got to say as well, I'll reiterate thank you, because you guys had my back, like, right from the start. As soon as we kind of started communicating, you started looking at what I was doing, and you instantly got on board and were supportive. And I'm never going to forget that. So I'm really excited to be back with all of you guys. And Richard, you also allowed me to write an article on your website about what I thought the future of indie filmmaking is going to be. I think that was a couple of years ago now, and I feel like it came true.
Very prescient. Very, very prescient.
Yeah.
Especially
So,
with, like, man, you were talking about the stuff that, Sora didn't even start demoing for another almost a year,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, okay, so, backtrack to the award, which I'm very proud of. And I generally don't go for awards because I'm not a person that tries to be cynical, but I feel like awards don't really mean anything these days because they don't mean anything to the people presenting them. They're opportunities to have some status, create a red carpet, a media event, and it's just going through the motions because that's the way it's always been. When I was younger, I used to dream of winning an Oscar. Now I see what the Oscars have become, and I'm like, I don't want none of that smoke.
I disagree. I want some of that smoke, but only because it would mean that I have somebody with like millions of dollars to throw at just buying me a frivolous award. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, well, you've heard some of these actors and stuff on those, those talk shows that they still do on television. They bring up like, oh yeah, I got an award. It's in my bathroom. Like, for years, these people haven't cared. And like they've told you publicly that they haven't cared. Oh, it's not some special place. It's not. They're like, the first one, it's kind of cool. But they're like, after that, like, I got one sitting on the back of my toilet. I got one. Like, I've heard people say this, but going back to your story.
Well, it's, again, I am a big fan and admirer of Film Threat and Chris Gore and Alan Ng.
Yeah.
I remember, it's funny because I remember Film Threat from, I don't know, just sometime in my youth. I can't, in my mind place the exact time, but I remember it being there. And I remember seeing it among things like Cinefantastique and Cinefex, although it always had that more indie feel to it. Yep. But I never really paid much attention to it at the time because I was more into the monster magazines or the comic books. Right. So I kind of regret in a way that I didn't gravitate towards that because it'd be such a cool thing. But then I saw Chris Gore on another YouTube channel that I had been on called Film Courage, and he did an interview on there where he really kind of just broke down what was wrong with Hollywood, and he really went into what was wrong with Disney Star Wars, and like just flayed it. And I went like, oh, this guy's definitely saying some very truthful things that I agree with. And the reason that I left Hollywood was because I saw what Hollywood was and really felt like the epiphany was this. I'm living with my wife and daughter, and my wife is pregnant again, in a
Awesome.
like one bedroom. No, not right now. I'm talking about that. Was a 1-bedroom apartment with a den that we were using for my daughter's bedroom. There was mold in the place. There was, it was overpriced. We were struggling. And I was trying to make a all green screen short film even then, using After Effects and green felt sheets that I literally pinned up to the ceiling in my apartment and had like people in my apartment acting against. And I kept having people going like, you can't do it this way. You can't use these cameras. You got to go get some money from these people, and you got to go see if you can get a meeting with them. And if they get a meeting with them, you're going to gonna have to like pretty much grovel, but you should do it. And I'm like, why would I want to grovel to these people? And I knew who the type of people these were because I'd encountered them before, working on projects in Hollywood. And they want to own it all. They want to take all the money, and they want to change it into something that doesn't resemble anything that you had intended. And they want you to do all the work. So I'm like, well, that sounds like a horrible deal. So I just decided, and people kept telling me like, there's no way you can do what you're thinking of for the amount of money that you have, which was practically zero. And I kept going, I think I can. And they get like, everyone's just like, the attitude is like, everyone's kind of in the cult. And when I say the cult, there, in some contexts, that's literal. There is, I grew up in Hollywood. I've met a lot of people. Fortunately for myself, I didn't have encounters with like the dirtiest situations that you hear about in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But I definitely came like brushed up against them a lot of times, kind of unwittingly, and in hindsight looking back going, oh crap, that's what that was. And the more that
dodged a bullet.
Oh, dude. Well, and so for people talking about Hollywood, like just to interject really quickly, for like, look at Nickelodeon and that one producer right now that that a lot of people have been talking about, like that stuff, like that, like crazy dark, like really gnarly stuff,
or Diddy, or
oh god, yeah. I have.
Here's the thing:
find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy in all the galaxy.
So just kind of divert off topic, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it's one of those things where it's like extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So I don't want to dive too deep and sound off the wall crazy or anything like that. But
you're on a drink with crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I will out crazy. If you go too crazy for me, I will out crazy you to make you seem normal. How about that?
Okay.
Deal. Yeah, that's a guarantee.
So
fuck you, Daniel.
God, I miss being on live streams. Because I used to do it all the time. But anyway, I don't want to go to like on another tangent on top of a tangent. But now that I'm away from Hollywood, and I've been away from Hollywood for a while, but now that a lot of other people, actors, people in other parts of the industry are leaving Hollywood and moving to places like Texas and other states where I just still stay in touch with them, suddenly they're getting a little more brave with telling stories that they otherwise wouldn't have told while they were still in the industry. And they, at first it was like, stories about, like Eyes Wide Shut style, things.
Yeah.
Essentially it's like mafia, drug and human trafficking. And, and like I said, I don't want to go too far into it, but it was one of those things where like a couple of people told me like different stories and they were so wild. I was like, nah, it couldn't be true. But then I started calling other friends and going like, hey, hearing this. And they're like, oh yeah, I've had an experience like that. And they tell me a story and I'd be like, there's too many people all disconnected that are telling their stories. And like I said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, but it's just makes me all the more happy to be away from it, because essentially it is the case that if you want to, not 100% of the time, there are good people in Hollywood. Sorry about that barking. I hope it's not coming through too loud.
You're okay. I don't know. The chat can tell us if it's too loud. I got dogs out. I was like, oh, why are my dogs barking? Oh, it's your dog. Oh, hey.
It's one dog. It's I can hear there's a delivery guy out there, which is like the mortal enemy of dogs.
Yes.
So, but anyway, it was, like I said, there's a lot. It's not everywhere. I did ask one person. It's funny. I asked him and he said like, oh, well, I've been to some parties where there's some weird stuff going on in other rooms, but not like out and out, like in the middle of the party. He said there was one actress that did try to sign me up for Amway.
Oh my God. That's a word I haven't heard in years.
Amway.
So anyway,
oh my God.
The thing is that a lot of people are, they're seeking life in entertainment, but outside of Hollywood now. And now that Hollywood's imploding, it's kind of interesting because Chris Gore, who just actually was back on his show for the first time today after having a stroke at CinemaCon in Las Vegas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a minor stroke, but he needed some time to recover. He was at CinemaCon in Vegas with his, I guess, editor-in-chief, Alan Ing. They were there with the people from Nerdrotic. And a couple of friends of mine were there too. So, but it's funny, he had a whole bunch of Film Threat merch in a truck and it got stolen and it was just a really bad time. But I was thinking like suddenly, here's the thing though, is Chris Gore has seen a resurgence in popularity by speaking the truth. And I feel like, for a long time, people like you guys and myself who would speak the truth on the internet, at least so far as we could ascertain it for ourselves. We're not perfect. We're going to get things wrong, but, trying to stick to our guns and be as authentic and honest as possible. There's a lot of attack from people who do not want the truth to be spoken because they're essentially, they want chaos, because in chaos, people are disoriented. And if they're disoriented, then they're easier to control. That's why you get all of this insanity, this denial of truth, this, the idea is essentially, it holds true for, any kind of malevolent ideology, whether it be like, something on the satanic side or something on the, the Marxist side. It all comes down to the same thing, is to completely, just lie all the time, so obliterate truth so you can disorient people and you can take advantage of them. It's like an abusive relationship.
Destabilize first.
Yeah. Yep. If individuals can orient themselves, then they can have control of their own destiny and they don't need these tyrannical people. And, that was what I really kind of saw in Hollywood all this time ago. I was encountering people like this all the time. Some people that I thought were, my best friends were like this. And it wasn't even, and it wasn't, I think even the people who saw it, it's like if you live in it, it's like absorbed into your skin. You can't help but think that way. Even if it's wrong, you still kind of play that game. So I really wanted to separate myself and my family from that entirely. And
I heard somebody say something very similar. I was listening to a podcast a while back, and it was some people who used to live in Chicago and like moved away from Chicago, and they're like, yeah, like when you like live in Chicago, you just think that that's just how everybody is, right? And it's just like this, and then like when you move away, you're like, oh, it's not like that that's not normal, and people don't know that that's not normal. It's like whatever.
It's a universal concept that people forget.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite musicians, a modern blues guy called Nathaniel Radcliffe, has a song, and best lyric I ever heard come out of somebody's mouth was, "When you're rolling in it long enough, your shit don't even smell."
Right. Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Well, the thing is, and you're right, because when I moved, and then I tell people what it was like here, and that I was doing well, and that I was making a movie, it wasn't even that they didn't believe it, they couldn't comprehend it. They couldn't comprehend that things were cheaper. They couldn't comprehend that, people were more neighborly here. They couldn't comprehend. But the thing is that oddly enough, there were people in the industry. There still are people in the industry who are top people that have worked for James Cameron, Ridley Scott, Steven Spielberg, Paul Verhoeven. What's the other one that I'm not thinking of at the moment? Like just all the top names. And they're seeing what I'm doing, and they're messaging me going like, how'd you do that? Can you show me? Did you do any video behind the scenes? Can you show me how to do that? And then they'd send me stuff that they were working on privately in their own homes, despite the fact that they were working on Avatar or Prometheus, and going like, what do you think of this? How did you do this? Like, what could I do better? And I'm going like, dude, you're living in like a really nice house in the Hollywood Hills, and you're asking me how I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's like there is an excitement, and I think there's a desire for all of them to do their own thing. But when you make that much money doing it for other people, and you got to play that game, it's very difficult to have the, like it's almost like they're going like, I don't know if this is okay. And then they'll message me, I'm going to pitch to, so-and-so, some top producer, some name that, on one hand, I'm going like, good luck. And on the other hand, I'm going like, I would never show my stuff to that person in a million years, because I wouldn't want to work with that person. I would rather make a lot less money. I still want to obviously be profitable. I still want to make a good living doing this. I don't want to work in poverty. I would much rather do it full time than work a job. I have a good job, and I like my job, and I like the people I work with, and I get to utilize my skills in that job, but you still want to dedicate, your full energy into that story. But again, this goes back to what I was saying about speaking the truth, though. If you keep speaking the truth and you feel like you're on the outs, don't compromise yourself for short-term gain. Eventually, people are going to come around to what you were saying and go like, hey, can you give us some more information? You seem to know the score, and we're the ones disoriented now. I'm not saying they're all disoriented, but it's like I get respect from those people on a new level. And Chris Gore, same thing. So when I released The Quantum Terror, which for context for the listeners maybe who don't know about The Quantum Terror, so The Quantum Terror was a Lovecraftian kind of David Lynch style horror movie. It was just recently described to me as an art film disguised as a horror movie.
I can see that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
now.
I can definitely see that.
No, I get it. I get it. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Do you not want it to be an art film disguised as a?
Well, here's the thing is, I will call it, I wasn't thinking of it as an art film, but I was thinking of it as an experimental film, in the sense of there were all these different directors whose either their writing or their directing style or how they utilize practical effects were all things that, you learn by imitating at first or trying, it's like, oh, they did this shot. I want to try that shot. I want to see if I can deconstruct how that shot worked and then put it all back together. Some
of the shots in that movie were fucking brilliant.
Oh, thank you very much. And I I owe that to my collaboration with director of photography Anthony Gutierrez, he showed up and he was really on board he was saying like, I've never done a movie like this before. I want to be on this. Let's, and we both learned from each other. And some shots, sometimes he'd show up because I'd shoot some of it myself, and then he'd show up on weekends and he'd look at what I shot and he's like, crap, I got to match what you did now, which wasn't always a good thing,
Oh, no.
but, essentially it was like, there are moments in there that are pure Sam Raimi. Like, oh, I remember this shot from the original Evil Dead. A matter of fact, the fact that I built the sets in my garage were actually inspired by an interview with Sam Raimi talking about the basement scene in the original Evil Dead being shot in like their friend's cousin's garage or something like that.
That's freaking great.
And the idea that some shots, were just like, hey, we need a pickup shot, and they literally just take a board and paint it to look like part of the set they were on before and hold it behind the actor and have them say a few lines in a close-up, like we're a completely different shot. Like that whole idea that everything can happen in the edit, and it doesn't matter what your materials are made of as long as it in the frame looks right. Obviously there's a lot of David Lynch in there in terms of how he directs actors and how he times actors' dialogue. So I wanted to try that. There's a lot of Stanley Kubrick in there, to the point where watching it, I realized like, oh, I think The Quantum Terror is kind of like a low budget retelling of The Shining, Kubrick's Shining, not Stephen King's Shining. And I used a lot of writing techniques from the original Alien, just the pacing of Alien, and I just was like putting it all together and seeing what would happen if I tried to hybridize it all. And so, and I use in my writing, and I think I said this the last time I was on the show, but I'm a hobbyist of two things, which seem like they're completely separate from each other, but I'm a big economics hobbyist, and I'm also a big psychology hobbyist. And I'm a big fan of one of the fathers of psychology, Carl Jung. So I decided I was going to make a visual dialogue, or a visual vocabulary rather, based on what I knew of Carl Jung. And that kind of turned into a kind of 50-50 structured script writing style and almost automatic writing, if you're familiar with the concept of automatic writing. The names in the movie came to me through automatic writing. And a lot of the ideas for scenes came to me in automatic writing. And I would go on these walks in my neighborhood in the middle of the night with my dog because it was very hot, but there was no one out. So it was like walking through liminal spaces. So I kind of had that liminal space idea in my head as well with the tunnels. And all this stuff kind of came together and turned into a story that even to this day, I'm watching it going, oh, I didn't realize the movie was about this. I didn't realize that's why this character has this name. I didn't realize what this scene means, but now I do. In the same way that you wake up from a dream and go and analyze and go, why did I dream that? The idea of one of the characters being named Lucy, the idea of the main character being named both Sam and having a sister named Sylvia, the idea that one of the characters is named Noah. And I realized that this movie, on the surface is just Lovecraftian horror, people running through tunnels from monsters, but it's a story of a woman trying to escape hell or trying to climb up from hell. That there's a character named Jacob, and there is climbing in it. It was not intentional, but I see that now. It was like communicating with, I'm terrible at Bible quotes, but what's the, like God was not in the wind or the thunder or the earthquake, but the little voice within your head. It was like that. And so, I created this movie and I got to do all the monster practical effects, all the stuff I love, like tentacle creatures and like slimy mutant monsters and body horror and weirdness. And what really was gratifying about it was that someone like Chris Gore, and it wasn't Chris Gore that reviewed it. It was because the idea of Film Threat's website is, if you're an independent filmmaker and you send us a link to a movie, we'll review it. And if we review it and it's available for people to watch, then it's eligible for our annual award, which is called Award This, where you go out to Santa Ana at the what's the name of the theater? It'll come to me. But I mean, it's a real award show with a red carpet and everything. It's not a like rinky dink thing at a convention or something. This is a real award show. So the review came in from Film Threat, and I thanked the reviewer in my acceptance speech, but essentially I was expecting it to get panned, but it got a 9 out of 10. And the reviewer referred to me, my favorite compliment I've ever gotten from a review was it referred to me as a dime store Ken Russell, which
Okay. For the idiots in the audience, please explain what that is. For the chat.
Well, Ken Russell was a director in the 70s and 80s who is very subversive, also surrealist. If you like David Lynch, you'd probably like Ken Russell. He's most famous for adapting Bram Stoker's Lair of the White Worm. And he also did a movie called The Devils, which is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen. I haven't watched it in a really long time, but it was a movie about controversy and the clergy, and that's all I'll say. But it is heavy, man, and it goes deep. He also directed a movie with Julian Sands called Gothic about the gathering of Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, and Dr. Polidori during the storm that Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And that's a weird one. That's a really weird one. And I also love this. He was appalled at the glorification of prostitution in Pretty Woman. So he wrote a rebuttal movie and directed it with his wife. It was called Whore. So
Spicy.
Wasn't Ken Russell involved in Tommy?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you know what? I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if he.
I want to say I want to say yes, but I don't remember exactly.
But anyway, brilliant director. Oddly enough, I remember when my second daughter was born, I'm waiting to go into the delivery room. And there was a TV on, and Ken Russell. It was being announced that Ken Russell had died. So people tell me my daughter is obviously the reincarnation of Ken Russell. But anyway, very surreal director, and it was a great compliment to have. The review is, if my Substack, which is christophermoonlight.substack.com, has a Where to Watch the Quantum Terror tab, or where you can get the links to the different video on demand places, but it also has links to the review if you want to read that. So anyway, I was like, well, now I'm eligible for this award. And I thought, Chris Gore is someone who actually he cares about movies, really cares about movies, which we haven't. And that's part of the problem with Hollywood is if you see a correlation between people who were in charge of the studios that used to be actors or directors themselves or producers, to the point where when it got taken over by accountants and CEOs for like soda companies and that sort of thing, that correlates with when Hollywood really started to decline. So I thought, okay, Film Threat, it's getting popular. People seem to really be into it. They love Chris Gore. They love Alan Ng. Said this award really feels like it means something. So I just kind of mentioned every once in a while on social media and tagged Film Threat that I was excited about Award This and that the Quantum Terror was there. And then as we're getting up to the time, I started thinking to myself, well, people campaign for award season, And then I remember David Lynch campaigning for Inland Empire. He wanted to get Laura Dern an Oscar nom, but he didn't have the money to take out an ad in Variety. So he just went outside the Academy, I think, with a cow and and a sign that said, "For your consideration, Laura Dern," with a picture of her from the movie. And he's sitting out there with a cow on a leash, sitting in a director's chair, just smoking cigarettes as cars go by. And
that's.
I
I mean,
mean,
people to look in the middle of the city. Like, is that a,
right? And
can
it's,
you just imagine driving? Is that a fucking cow? Like,
So that is
I mean-
definitely a Lynch thing to do.
well, there is video, like cell phone video from people's cars going by. It's like, is that David Lynch with a cow? So, you know,
where
and
I grew up, you're just like, yeah, it's a cow, whatever.
Yeah.
Fence is broke. In the middle of the city, you're just like,
yeah.
wait, what did I just drive by?
Well, you
They
know,
still make those?
yes, they still make David Lynch's.
Oh, I was talking about cows in the city.
But you know,
Oh,
it's
wait,
like
you can find those in Walmart. Never mind. If you get
But
that
there's
joke,
a-
thank you.
there's the
But
what is it? There's an interview with him, and it's like the most memorable campaign. You know, he's like, I didn't have money to take out an ad in Variety, so I thought, get a cow, and I'll have a milkshake outside. Now I don't know what he was saying, you know, but he's like, and I don't know if she got the nom, but people remember that, and so I just took a photo from that and photoshopped in the Quantum Terror instead. And I just did a few posts of it. And the next thing I know, I got nominated. I had gotten nominated with Richard Elfman's Bloody Bridget. Richard Elfman is the brother of Danny Elfman.
yes,
And against that and a vampire road flick that looked really good at the trailer for, I can't remember what it was called. And another movie called Wormhole, and Terrifier 2. So I thought, well, I'm nominated, but Terrifier 2 is going to win because that's the one that's just like doing gangbusters in the theater.
Mhm.
But I said to my wife, I was like, you know, I want to spend a little money and just get a plane ticket out. I'll stay with my dad. My dad's in California. You know, I'll hang out with a couple of friends and we'll drive over there. My friend Dave, who did the end song, She Casts No Shadow, and his girlfriend JC live not too far from my dad, and they're longtime friends. So I was like, you guys, you know, you've been involved in the movie, like come out with me, you know? And so they went out, but the whole time it was like, I just had this feeling, and other people kept telling me, like my friend Gary at a Pop Culture Minefield. Oh
shit. Yeah, I know Pop Culture Minefield.
Yeah, Pop Culture Minefield. I used to live stream on there, and I still do every once in a while if I have time.
Wait, you're the reason that I know about them. I remember now. Hey, look at that. Like, dude, it's been a long few years.
the last few remaining brain cells rubbed together finally.
Remember the tooth. Do you remember Order 66? A drink with crazy kills everyone on his live stream.
What the fuck? No.
He's thought about it.
Hey, not on stream. I try to have fun here. It's after the stream I think about. Anyway,
Every once in a while, there's a glint in his eye, and you know he's thinking about a scope on my head.
So anyway, people just,
oh boy, that got dark real fast.
that's brutal.
That's brutal.
But anyway, yeah. So, but people just kept telling me, like, I think you're gonna win. And Gary said to me, he's like, look, he's like, Chris Gore cares about cinema. He doesn't care about box office. He's like, I think you're gonna win. And I was like, I didn't want to get my hopes up too much, but so when I was at the award, I mean, it was great. I met, and I've talked to a couple of these people before, but never met them in person. But I got to hang out with Polly from Latino Slant, I'm suddenly blocking on his name, from Verbal Riot, and Comic Book Girl 19. You know, like all these people were there, and I was sitting. We sat down in the theater. My mom came, which was really nice.
Cool.
And I sat down with my friends, and I was sitting next to this other guy, and I was like, you know, I forget what his name was, but he's like, yeah, I'm here. Like, Richard Elfman isn't here, but I'm gonna accept for him if he wins. And he said, but Terrifier 2 is going to win. I was like, yeah, like, and he had done, this guy is cool. He'd done that 4-hour Nightmare on Elm Street documentary, Never Sleep Again, which I absolutely love that documentary. But anyway, so they open up the envelope and it's Chris Gore and Alan Ing are the ones doing it. And they say it's a tie. And I was like, okay, who's, is it going to be Terrifier 2 first or what, And it was this other film, Wormhole. And that guy was, I guess he didn't show up. But that one's available to watch on YouTube. It's kind of tough to search because there's a bunch of stuff called Wormhole on YouTube.
No.
Yeah, but, and then I was thinking like, okay, the next one will be Terrifier 2. And then they called the Quantum Terror and I like kind of had an out of body experience where I could hear myself yell. And then I just remember like walking over to see my mom was there and giving her a hug and then going up. And the only thing I really remember, well, I remember that I forgot to thank a bunch of people that I've been thinking about thanking the whole time. But I blurted out like, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And I don't even know where I heard that before. I know that's not mine, but that's
cool.
And so, from there, a few things happened. I mean, first of all, I often the live streams for Film Thread are on while I work. So, I'll leave comments. Usually I've noticed something. It's kind of funny. It's like they'll read my comments every once in a while, but if there's a director on and I ask a question, they always post my question. So it's like they are, they're not trying to like get too close to me or anything. Like, I don't think that, they're too busy for that or whatever, but they know that like I'm working, so Film Thread is very supportive of independent filmmakers. And that's really what makes it so I'm, still looking for the perfect trophy case with an LED light to put that award in so it can be on the wall, place of honor, and I kept all this stuff that I want to decorate the case with, like the, cool. The lanyard, the little cocktail napkins that had award this printed on them, the wristband that I wore, the lapel pin that they gave me, it's like, it's like I was so excited. My favorite coffee mug is a Film Thread coffee mug that Chris Gore gave me, and the little gift bags, and there were some left over. He's like handing me more. He's going like, take some back to your family. It's like, I feel like I've spent like a lot of time just on this, and I know there's a lot of other stuff we want to talk about. But,
dude, I wanted to hear the whole thing.
Well,
are you freaking kidding me? Like, dude, when I was like, wait a minute, you got an award for?
Yeah, tell us about it, man. I don't mind.
Because I see how hard you work through your updates, and like obviously, the one thing that I will say that is really cool about kind of doing like the YouTube stuff, and especially as I'm starting to get into more editing just for YouTube. When I see you post an update, I go, oh fuck, I know what he's doing. And like, and then I also I know like 10 things that you're doing and 20 things that I don't even know how you get that done. Right. But I know just enough to know exactly how much of a novice I am when I watch everything that you're combining. And so when you're like, hey, dude, I got this award, or I was able, or like, here's what we're doing, here's how we're doing it. Like I have the teaser trailer for Escape from Planet Omega 12 pulled up, and I'd love to play that for everybody in the audience because you guys need to see exactly what Chris is doing. But like, dude, I'm telling you.
Is the Quantum Terror still on Tubi?
It is. Yeah.
Is the Quantum Terror.
And this is one of the things that's really
should absolutely check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, guys, go check out the Quantum Terror. You did it on a shoestring budget too.
I did it for about $15,000 and a lot of sweat equity and a lot of favors, obviously. But here's the thing about it. The award was, it's like my friend Clint Carney, who directed a movie called Dry Blood. which is also a pretty good movie. It's a great movie. I shouldn't say just pretty good movie. But it's
A little bit
he
of that
told
award going to your head there.
right.
Right.
But he said,
Well, guy gets one award, and all of a sudden it's it's not.
It's
a
a
great
pretty
movie, and
good
I
movie.
have an award. Okay, great movies are just good to me now. No,
but it's he said to me, he's like, when you finish your film, because he finished his film first, and he brought a lot more production value to his film, which I think he did a really fantastic job with. But he said, once you make a movie, you're gonna be in this like unspoken club just called the You Made a Movie Club, where suddenly you have a lot more respect because it got out there. And then this award, like I said, I see people win festival awards all the time and that sort of thing. And some of them are fantastic, and others are just like, yeah, this festival's just like taking people's submission money and like doesn't like they've got like 20 awards for like 3 categories or something like that. Like they just seem like the little olive wreath things that you could stamp all over everything. And I want that to mean something. I don't want quantity. I want quality.
well, and it seems like that's what you got with the award. You actually got people who cared.
And people pay attention to Chris Gore. They do.
I'm subscribed to his channel, and when I see him talk about something that I think is interesting, I check it out.
Well, he's honest, he's truthful, he is dedicated to the truth, and he loves cinema, and those things bring value to whatever he creates. And that winning that award, and again, I was talking to my friend, there's a lot of Chris's out there in entertainment. Chris Young, who is I'm currently working and helping him finish up his movie Brimstone Saint, which is a Weird West movie, and it's going to be excellent, by the way.
Nice.
Stars Bill Oberst Jr. and this Chris Young can write a script. He's a really good writer, and so I'm doing some practical effects work for him, some kind of Tim Burton-esque stuff.
Sweet.
And but I was on the phone with him, and he said to me, he said, "Look, he's like, the judging process it's a vote by all 35 critics on that review for Film Threat, and Chris Gore and Alan Ing. He's like, so that movie went through all those people, and they saw what you did, and they recognized what it was you were trying to accomplish, and they gave you the award." And that really kind of drove it home for me. So I was, it's like I said, it is, you do kind of, you feel very proud. It's like, it almost feels addicting. You're like, I want to win more awards now. But at the same time, it's like, it's also kind of humbling. It's like all those people took the time to watch all these films, and they saw the merit of what I did, and they felt like I was the one worth giving an award to. And there's also a little bit of me going like, well, I can't disrespect that by letting it go to my head, or by like just producing, crap from here on out, or not doing anything else. I think that would be the worst, to be like, okay, I made a movie, I got my award, I'm done, whatever. Which really never happened to me, because I've got the bug. Like I've never been able to not be making something, doing something.
Same.
I don't take days off to just sit around and watch movies as much as I want to. Sometimes it's like I get too antsy. I've been dreaming for the last 10 years about letting myself have a Lord of the Rings extended cut marathon. I just never find time for it. If I watch stuff these days, it's kind of like what I call the wine couch test. I will put something on, and I'll sit on the couch at the end of the evening when I'm too tired to do anything else with a glass of wine. And if I fall asleep during it, whatever. But if it's good enough where it keeps me awake till the end, even though I'm tired, then it's something. I just watched.
It's a good metric.
Yeah, I just watched for the first time Satoshi Koen's Paprika, which just like had me. I thought that was a wonderful animated movie. But most of the time it's short stuff. I'm a big fan of Genndy Tartakovsky, who does Samurai Jack and Primal, and he did that Unicorn Warriors Eternal, which didn't make any sense at all, but it was still entertaining to watch. And what's the other one he did? Symbiotic Titan, which I thought was actually really cool. It only got one season. But anyway, it's like, you know, like I love practical effects. As you know, Royce has pointed out, I am now working with AI, which is, you know, I'm not working with AI in the sense that I just want to make an AI movie. It's that AI is now freeing me up to complete bigger visions that originally were just like, you know, I build what I want to build. I do what I want to do in the methods that I've always done. But now I've got this kind of support of AI that can help me create bigger visions, make it look better quality. And so now, you know, he said he wanted to talk about animation, and he disappeared on us.
He'll be back
Don't worry about
eventually.
He'll be back.
He doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's right. He was going to kill you guys anyway.
Right, yeah.
Usurpation.
But you know, it's with the completion of the first film, it was kind of like, okay, I want to do something bigger and better. And so I was talking, and before the award even, my producing partner is a gentleman named Doug Mayfield. He and I agreed on, there were 4 different story pitches that I had. And he gave me some money to work on all 4 in script form. And then we were going to go shop them around and see, you know, what would be the most advantageous to do next. And I won't say, the other one was a Christmas horror movie, which is still one of my favorite scripts.
Those are always fun.
Another one is a sci-fi, which is kind of like, I will only say it's like 12 Angry Men meets The Thing.
What the hell?
And then there's another one that I wrote that I would describe as Shakespeare in the Park meets The Matrix with no special effects. And then the 4th one, see, this is what you get for dipping out. The 4th one,
I was here the whole time. I heard everything.
Okay.
You understand. I leave, but I'm never gone.
And
Comprehend
you
on the
should
other
make your
hand.
main channel a mod on your secondary channel, Royce.
What's going on? Oh shit, that's sorry. I have a
and
microphone
Gorham
about to
said,
fall.
by the way, like I keep kind of glancing over the chat. Gorham says 12 Angry Men is one of my favorite movies. So you have my attention. Yes, it is a brilliant movie, and it's kind of a funny thing to mix with The Thing. But that's kind of like, so.
I mean,
The
I
fourth-
can see how it would work.
You know,
You know?
the 4th script was the Escape from Planet Omega 12, which was, you know, and it's funny too, because we talk about AI and, you know, there's a lot of hyperbole around AI, which at this point I'm kind of getting sick of hearing, because
Yeah.
it's just blatantly not true by every metric possible, and yet it still gets perpetuated. And there's a lot of people with what I call AI derangement syndrome, who just want to continue to.
So
It's kind of a bad acronym.
that is.
I love that acronym.
That is.
You compare it with Team America. Use that song on top of it.
Right, dude. So that's a great segue, because I've had the teaser pulled up, and when I tell people that you're using AI, and I'm like, no, you guys don't understand, and they're like, no, I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. You're stupid. Like, and I don't say that on Twitter. I actually try to be cordial on Twitter, because I'm trying to like win people over. Stupid fucking me. But I tell people, like, no, you don't understand. What you are doing, like my brief overview of this for everybody is, Chris is not just using AI. He is using the last 100 years of film techniques, combining them all together into one movie. AI is a part of that, but it's only a small part of the 100 years. It does not touch the hand-drawn animation. It doesn't touch the actual actress that's in the mocap fucking studio. And I'm about to show you guys that I'm telling you guys, we're going to watch this. This is going to blow your fucking mind. And this is what has me so excited, because this is somebody who Chris is somebody, and this is why I am so excited and just honored that he came back and he's here, because I've been watching this. I've been watching the progress, and I'm watching somebody take all of the different parts and pieces and going, but we can put them all together. And I'm telling you guys, this is what the future of film is going to look like. And I do hope that you guys appreciate this as much as I have been appreciating this. And that is basically my segue for the fucking trailer. Here we
Roll
go.
tape.
When you guys see how he's putting all this together, it's going to blow your mind. You guys are like, oh, yeah, he just did it on a computer. No, he didn't.
Hi, I'm Christopher. I am the creator of Escape from Planet Omega 12, along with my producing partner, Doug Mayfield. We have put together this teaser to show you, and we've got a lot more coming up. This is a animated sci-fi series, the likes of which you've never seen before. We're very excited about it. I'm taking a lot of my previous experience as a practical effects and visual effects artist and an animator, and combining them with something that I'm really excited about, which is all the new AI tools that are becoming available to independent filmmakers, making it so that we can create things that before you needed a Hollywood budget. Otherwise, you were out of luck. We're not using it for everything. This is still going to include traditional animation, 3D.
What I am seeing in this, and this is something that I wanted to ask you about, it looks like you're basically just using like AI as like an overlay. You're doing all the work on the background, and then just to get everything to kind of mesh together, you're using the AI as just kind of like an overlay to what you're doing. Am I completely wrong on that?
Yes and no.
Okay. So I'm only half an idiot.
And let's see. There's Maji-chan says, "No offense, looks like an acid trip." And actually, this is a psychedelic movie.
Shit! So she's right.
This is kind of like I'm tapping into, like you said, a lot of history of one of my favorite old school sci-fi movies is Forbidden Planet. So there's a lot of Forbidden Planet in here. There's a lot of Robinson Crusoe on Mars. If you've ever seen that movie, it's kind of a forgotten classic, but it is amazing. I love it. There's stuff like Green Slime. There's the Roger Corman stuff like Battle Beyond the Stars and Galaxy of Terror. Like I'm tapping into that, even though I'm not a fan of this movie, Barbarella, but also, people have been talking about Fantastic Planet, this heavy metal, there's a lot of fire and ice, Frank Frazetta. This is like a Frazetta-esque. So yes, there is a lot of psychedelic in this, but to go to your question. So here's the thing one of the things about filmmaking that's always been present is filmmaking is technology. I mean, you can boil things back. So like, and I can talk about this too. The first robot to be made was made 2,000 years ago by a Greek named Hero of Alexandria. Made a functioning robot by the definition of what we consider a robot today. It was obviously a lot simpler. But
I think I've heard about that before.
Yeah. So it's, but the reason I bring that up is that technology, the printing press is technology. The written word is technology. And by the way, Plato thought that the written word was going to end civilization. Maybe not entirely end civilization, but he thought the written word would dumb civilization down. It would make people stop thinking because they wouldn't have to remember things if they could write it down. There's always been some form of
I was told
reaction.
that with calculators as a kid.
Yeah.
If you use a calculator,
Yep.
you'll just never know how to do math. Yeah.
But my point is there's always a kind of a reactionary panic over a new technology. You can a lot of people say about automobiles, the automobile crushed the horse and buggy industry, and a lot of horse and buggy people lost their jobs. But the unforeseen consequences of that is that new industries, tourism, food transportation, to delivery service, every kind of, it's like that exploded and created like much more industry, new economic booms, new jobs, better quality of life for everybody. Sometimes people get hit by cars. I'm not saying that new technologies aren't without their
Hazards.
negatives. Yeah, hazards. It's like, for me, like I said, I'm just dabbling in using AI in terms of, my artistic expressions. I'm not having it do everything for me. I'm using it as a way to generate elements that I can use. But, it's like, just like color film, Technicolor, Panavision, the keying techniques of the special effects techniques of Hollywood have evolved through the years. James Cameron pushing CGI with Terminator, The Abyss, and Terminator 2, and then it went on to Jurassic Park. Movies have always been technology. And so when somebody hands me a new technology that is untested, it's new, and it works in the same way that the human brain works. And people always talk about AI as like stealing art. It's like, no, it's like, if I ask you to draw an egg on a piece of paper, you don't have a file in your head that tells you like, this is an egg to reference. You have learned to recognize an egg, so you can recreate one. And if I ask you, what egg is that? Like, when in your life did you see that particular egg? You wouldn't be able to answer me. You would just say like, oh no, I've just seen eggs. So it's a general egg. If you can recognize a thing, you can recreate it. And that's what the software for AI art generation comes from. Originally them trying to get self-driving cars off the ground, in terms of self-driving cars need to be able to recognize objects. And they figured out if the computer can recognize an object, it can recreate it. But since it's referencing a bunch, it's like, it's not recreating any one. It's just got the general idea. It's almost like, what is it?
But when you tell people that, they lose their shit. Because I've literally said that on my live stream. I'm just like,
well, I think what some of the more justifiable frustration over AI art comes from is that there was there are some cases where they took the training data from, what was the very first, was it ArtStation or I can't remember what it was, but in like some of the very first Stable Diffusion setups, you would get notably improved results if you put ArtStation in the prompt, right? Now, mind you, this is back when it was like you're running it on your own computer and it's just hallucinating all sorts of wild stuff. And I kind of, in some ways, I sort of missed the charm of that, because you had some like really bizarre things come out of it. But, people were upset because they were clearly using people's stuff as training data, and they were like, well, I didn't give them permission to do that. And it's like, you did actually.
Yeah.
And
by posting it.
I understand why you're upset that it did that, like, I'm sorry this happened. I can understand some frustration there, but there's just a lot of people that don't understand what fair use is, and they don't understand the legal implications of what would happen if, a lot of these artists, if they got what they ask for with things like laws.
How many times have you heard an artist say, just, you can go back and you can see things. They're like, oh, I was sitting on a train and I saw this woman and she was stressed and they had their artist brain or whatever. And they were like, and And I just took a moment to sit there, and I remembered it when I got home, and I drew how I remembered that woman being. The woman wasn't on the news like the next, like, I didn't give permission for them to, like, it's the same.
Well, I know what you're saying.
It is the same thing. We're talking, the biggest argument that can come out of AI is the obsolescence argument. And it's the obsolescence of humans, right?
Well, that's
but they don't want to say that yet. You know what I mean?
well, there's some
Say it, I
people
don't
who
give
are
a shit.
saying that.
I'm drunk and happy.
I don't believe that. And I was talking about this with my friend Val Merrick, who is his Howard the Duck painting is behind me there.
Mhm.
He's a long time, since the 70s, a professional artist, and he does very well for himself. He's established. I was trying to fix my camera. Established his name for himself, and he's like, yeah, I don't really care. He's like, I love doing traditional stuff, and I've got a large clientele of people who pay me a lot of money to do it. And, it's like, he's like, in my mind, it's just going to create more of a demand for good original art.
Yes, and actual physical art. I think this is, honestly, I think more than anything, this is going to drive people to put down the iPad stylus and actually make stuff, because one of the things that kind of gets under my skin a little bit with somebody who does have some classical art education and has mixed paints and things like that. People, digital artists seem like some of the people who are the most upset about AI, and I think that's because it encroaches most closely onto their territory. But I mean, they take for granted the ability to just pick a color. You know what I mean? Like,
well, not only that, but I mean, how
I'm
many?
just going to use this palette, and I'm going to now have this perfect set of palettes.
So many times. I have said this so many times on my live stream because people want to get into this, and I'm like, look, you either allow all technology or you allow no technology. And I specifically say digital technology.
Well, this is what I was saying before about technology. Everything, like I said, even the written word is technology.
Exactly. And that's why I specify, because the argument seems to be around digital technology. I'm like, but how many of you use Photoshop every single day?
And take stuff off the internet for textures, if you want to rock texture. It's like, it's transformative enough.
Or a lot of the comic book artists that we know, they use drawing tablets that will literally create multiple layers that they can go in, selectively edit and delete stuff if they make a mistake. It's like, well, why don't you just become good enough to not make a mistake? Why don't you just do that on paper? And
there's
again,
no such thing as not making a mistake.
I know, but if you're good enough, you can fucking cover it up and still put it out to people. But a lot of people don't like that. They don't like hearing that it's okay for them to use a certain amount of technology, but it's not okay for somebody else to use a technology to outshine them. And it's like, well, wait a fucking second here. There's
a little bit of that.
This is selective bias so they can keep their top place, or what they perceive to be their top place in the market, or keep the market beholden to like essentially to what they see as their version of success. And this is kind of what's given rise to a lot of the mediocrity in Hollywood, is that there's like been this glut of people who are like poor to mid-level talent. The top talent isn't going to have to worry. Some of them do, because they feel like they're going to get knocked off their top spot on the hierarchy.
Good.
But ultimately, again, I was talking to Chris Young about this, and I kind of go back to, what you were asking about my technique. The technique is, look, a lot of my filmmaking comes from my ability to create miniatures and puppets and then composite them together. I am still making a Christopher film, and it's a psychedelic film. What AI is allowing me to do is pull out all the stops that were getting to me before. But wait, let me finish. I know you got a thought. But it's like, if I want to do miniatures against a green screen, like is shown here, I can do miniatures against a green screen. If I want the animated characters to have, like you called it, a patina, because I am working with motion control, performance capture with actress and I'm doing some myself. And then I'm going into Wonder Dynamics, which is an AI powered 3D motion capture. So I built Chris Young and Clint Carney, who are working with me, have helped me with the 3D models, and a few other people. My friend Bertian is doing some hand animation, and then we bring that all together and then put the patina on it. And then, but sometimes it is, whatever the technology that gets me to the point. The idea, though, is that it's a couple of things. It's still authentically my vision, but also I do want the tells of AI on it, because for the first, when CGI became a thing, the people that got to push the technology were the top people in Hollywood that had the money to work with it. This is the first time in history such a powerful technology has been made available to indie filmmakers, and we have an opportunity to see what we can make it do. Not what people are seeing it do just by, typing in prompts on Midjourney and posting it online, but really pushing it to see what we can create with it, then how we can reconfigure it, put it back together. And I think, it's like we've got the people creating the technology and the artists going, how can we push this in ways that even the people who made the technology aren't thinking of? And that's where I think I have an opportunity to really break some ground. And that's what I want to do. It's like, it's like being a test pilot, except I don't, if I crash and burn, I just, I
Start over. You don't.
I can start over, but I can get in and I can go, let's push this and really see what it can do. And I have an opportunity to, you see people making AI films and AI trailers, and they're fun. But I want to take everything I know and create something that everyone stops and goes like, wait a minute, I haven't seen that before. And I did talk to someone in Hollywood who is a casting director, because we're trying to get somebody whose name I won't say, but if I get them, it'll be amazing to do a voice for this character. But I said, let's take this to them now. And they're like, no. I'm telling you right now, I'm working in Hollywood right now. There's nothing like this. He's like, create the first part and then we'll bring it to this person, because when they see it as I know it's going to be, they will say yes no matter what.
Strong proof of concept.
So I'm going to say two things here. The first thing is, one, we're going to go back to this teaser trailer because I want you guys to see the rest of Chris's pitch after I say this next thing. Two, I can see the fucking electrical cord that I never saw before in the background right here. That I love that, because this right here above where I'm putting my mouse, you can see the two cords plugged in together for the lighting or whatever you're using them for. And I fucking love that, because I didn't see that until literally you were like, oh, I see that you have a thing to say. I want it. Guys, this is independent filmmaking at its fucking finest. It's a guy who literally, I can see the electrical cords plugged in together right here. And this is the first time I've noticed it. And the only reason I noticed it because I had it paused on the screen long enough. And he is combining this dude, Chris is combining 100 years of filmmaking with the newest technology that's out there. Guys, he's a fucking pioneer. So with that being said, let's keep going. Dude, that's why I'm so excited to talk with you again. Like I'm gushing over this shit.
Even practical effects, miniature sets, and puppets. We're going to be compositing it all together to create the story of Tara, who is a woman. She is the wife of a starship captain. She's on expedition with them. They're exploring this new
trippy to see
uncivilized alien planet. It's filled with alien wildlife. And while they're orbiting, the crew is murdered. I won't give away too much about the how and why, but she manages to escape down to the planet's surface with the body of her husband, who has also been murdered, and a little robot assistant. And from there, she makes some rather unusual companions and has to survive on this planet. She's still being hunted by the mysterious force that killed the crew.
Painting by Val.
And it is very much inspired by a lot of the retro futurism stuff that I grew up with, whether it be stuff like Forbidden Planet or the original Star Trek series, stuff like Barbarella, which I was personally disappointed in. But I still like the idea of it. Green Slime, Robinson Crusoe on Mars, Planet of the Vampires, going all the way up to Star Wars, Alien,
That's not
and
Star Wars.
this
No.
project is actually a little bit of a reaction to my disappointment in the way that franchises have gone these days. Of course, I'm talking about stuff like Star Wars and the Alien franchise, which I'm a big fan of. But yeah, we're combining all this stuff together to create something that you've never seen before. We're still learning ourselves. It's a bit of a rough start, but we're refining it, and new tools are coming out all the time that are making this project just turn out excellent. I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy with how it's going. We've got some great talent behind it. So I'd like you to join me either by following our social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook under Sci Exploitation. But the project is called Escape from Planet Omega 12. Sci Exploitation is kind of a catch-all. We're going to create other science fiction projects out of it as well. But anyway, I'd also like to encourage you to follow me on my Subscribestar, which I'll leave a link below for, and also my Substack. So I hope you're excited about this project. Again, it's going to be really awesome. You're going to be surprised at some of the talents we're getting behind it. But it's on a shoestring. This is independent filmmaking at its most stripped down. I'm doing it out of my house, out of my office, out of my garage. But I think you're really going to enjoy it. This is for you, me, we, the fans who have been shunt aside. All the goodwill that we had between us and the studios has been squandered. So I'm taking back science fiction. I hope you'll join me. Thanks.
Are we gonna watch the storyboards too?
Maybe.
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 My
Depends on
my
how
favorite
excited
part.
I get. No, we don't have to watch the storyboards.
I like the storyboards.
Dude,
Well, thank you.
like,
And the storyboards are hand drawn, by the way, because I
Yeah.
feel a deep connection between just, sketching it out rapid fire, very loose.
So-
It's like all the energy that I'm putting into this. That's the goal, is that I want the audience to feel the energy. I'm not making, like I said, the fake trailers and stuff they do with AI are, they're great. I really enjoy them, but you can't watch an entire film like that. I'm looking for something with the same energy as like Fire and Ice or Samurai Jack or Primal. Like, there's going to be brutality. It's going to be very sexy. It's going to be the story is something that I'm very proud of. Tara is a very fleshed out character. You're really going to feel her. Because like I said, I think I said this in the preview. She's not a warrior. She's not a soldier or even an explorer. She's the wife of the captain. All she wanted to do is have a baby with her husband and fly around on, the ship that he owns. And he's like a privateer. And all that gets taken away from her before she can have. Both my kids asked if they can watch the movie, huh? So actually, this is interesting. I will be doing like I said, it's a sexy project, but I will be doing like the PG-13 version, and then I'll be doing like the director's cut. That is a lot sexier, but don't worry, it will not be like Rebel Moon. But yes, because I've got kids too. I want my kids to be able to watch this because I haven't let them watch the Quantum Terror.
So yeah, that one. So this right here, when I watch this pitch, and I'm like, I go to I'm like, babe, and like I'm bothering, and she's like, what? I'm like, you got to see this. This is so cool. And she's like, and she had to go somewhere, but that's how I am. This right here was my favorite portion of the teaser. And it's let's see if I can back it up.
By the way, this actress is Isla Cervelli. She was amazing. She did all the motion capture stuff. Did it in a day. I only had enough money to pay her for the day. Just a full day of us in a garage, and we were both so tired because we went through the entire motion caption pose.
That's insane.
Of every scene in the movie. And there were 3 cameras, one of them which was handheld, which I'm like running around and following her with. So I was being very physical too. And she was excellent. She's a
What's
local here in
excited about,
Austin.
which is all the new.
Right here. That, bam, right there. If you guys didn't see that, I'm going to back it up again. But I want you guys to see, because so
That's
I see,
practical, by the way.
yeah. So there's this. So she's in the green screen. She's drawing the gun. And then, bam, right there. Now we see something closer to what it's actually going to look like. Obviously, this isn't the final product. This is just the teaser. This right here, this is practical?
That's practical, yeah. It's a good green screen, but those are actually all built out of different bottles that I hot glued together and then spackled, and then the spaceship. I shot it all in stop motion. Now, this was my early days of doing composite.
Wait, you're doing stop motion too?
This is whatever
That's
gets the
so
shot.
fucking awesome.
Do you want to see some of the practical effects I got in the room with me right now?
Yes.
So I'll show you some.
So again, guys. So for everybody in the audience, you guys are watching this now. You're watching the VOD. The reason that I am genuinely excited for this, and the reason that I'm freaking out about all of this, is because I have grown up and with people who've done things similar. I've grown up and I've learned about animation quality over the years and how much it takes to do all of this stuff. There are guys who are masters of stop motion, like he just said. There are guys who are masters of hand drawn. There are guys who are masters of live action and green screen capture and all this stuff. There are people who have mastered every one of these crafts. I mean, fucking look at, you mentioned Lord of the Rings earlier when I was gone and you thought that I wasn't listening. But you want to talk about Lord of the Rings? Look at what they did with green screen technology in those days, and they were able to overlay stuff and do it. And if you know all of that, Chris is taking all of that, everything from the last 100 years of filmmaking, and he's going to put a piece of it into this movie. You are going to see something in this movie that he is creating, whether it's from the practical effects, whether it's from green screen, whether it's from CGI, some AI in there, stop motion capture. You guys are going to see something, and you might be able to catch it with your eye. Maybe you won't if he does a really good job, but you're going to see something in this movie that's going to make you go, I know what this is. You are going to get something familiar from the last 100 years of filmmaking. That's what fucking boggles my mind so much. And I know I sound like a fucking hype guy right now. I don't give a shit. This shit genuinely fucking excites me. So.
Well, two things to that, and thank you very much. I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate all of that. So one is, keep in mind, all the new technology is what's making it so I'm able to do it my way on the budget I have. Otherwise, nothing would get done. And the small budget that I do have, that I've used to pay artists, wouldn't exist. So I wouldn't be able to pay them at all. So it's not actually taking away their jobs. It's actually creating jobs right off the bat. Second of all, I am going to leave rough edges on everything. I'll combine it all together in a way that's pleasing to the eye. It won't be distracting. But if I make a model or a puppet, I want you to be able to see that it's a model or a puppet. If I do it with AI, I want it to have a little bit of the rough edge that AI has. So I want to show you a couple of things. And I don't know, Royce, if you want to make my screen bigger so you can see, but
absolutely.
So that worm, that giant worm thing that roared at you is actually a sculpted maquette. It's on a pedestal here, and its body will be a rod puppet. So when the body squirms around, I used technology to animate it, not AI. Actually, I did it in After Effects. I created depth maps using AI, but you can take a depth map of an object that exists in real life, and then you can use that depth map as a way to animate it. So the way that it had like that kind of jiggly look, like it was kind of like slimy and
Mhm.
and the slime coming out of its mouth is actually practical slime that was composited back in. So
Very
there's
cool.
that. And then the escape pod in the trailer I was not happy with, so I made another one. This is the current one. I added a little ladder to it, and there's the main hatch. And I thought it'd be cool if it had heat tiles around the edge of it, because I thought if something is like going through the hot atmosphere and then you need to get out in a hurry, you'd want the area around it to cool really fast.
Yeah.
And then the retro boosters. So this is
So fucking cool.
and if you go to my YouTube channel, and by the way, I should mention that my YouTube channel is just 6 subscribers away from reaching 1,000. So
Nice.
you can see the storyboards for this and a lot of the behind the scenes stuff.
And hey guys, are there 6 of you right now that would go in and subscribe to his channel?
There should be.
There fucking better be.
Of course there are. Come on, guys.
Oh, I already tell the chat they're fucking horrible. If they don't subscribe to me tonight, I will ban every single one of them. I'm okay with that.
This is when you see the storyboards, which we didn't play, this comes down with like parachutes, and I'm really proud with how the story progresses. I don't just go from one event to another. I like to really kind of visually show things happening. I don't want to just have the escape pod crash and she gets out and whatever. I want to see that escape pod flying through the atmosphere, the chutes ejecting, the retro boosters going off, it landing in the swamp, the alien swamp. So, okay, so let me move a couple of things. One more thing. So this was created based on a hand drawing that I did. But Jenna Green, who's a practical effects artist, who's a friend of mine that I hired, created this. This is one of the wildlife. It's called an O-rat. And a lot of these guys just run around, kind of like the Gallimimus do in Jurassic Park. They're about the size of a corgi, maybe slightly larger. And they're everywhere. And they just kind of an incidental creature that I created so that the planet feels like it's not a civilized planet that she's on. There's no tribes or anything. It's like a prehistoric planet. She's got a ray gun, but she also has a sword and a spear. So it's going to be that kind of almost like Conan the Barbarian or Red Sonja feel to it as well, or like I said, Fire and Ice. But here I'm gonna adjust my camera. So this is what I'm working on right now. Let me just move it over here. So sorry for the glare.
Fucking cool.
So this is gonna be a puppet, a rod puppet. I haven't finished it. Obviously, I've got to dress it, but it's a cardboard base.
I was watching your reel on Instagram the other day with this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually gonna maybe put like a kind of like a hand crank thing where he just kind of runs in place, and then like the in Star Wars where they move the camera past the spaceship. We're going to do that. We're going to have him run in place, but we're going to run the camera past him so that we can then animate it like running past the camera, running through the forest. So he actually has, and I don't know how well you can see this, but let's see if I can kind of hold these up. So I made these cable controlled squeeze mechanisms that.
Nice.
What the fuck?
Yeah, man.
So he moves his head around. There's 4 of them.
But you're just cheating using AI, Chris. You're just cheating using AI. That's yeah.
So it's different controllers have him turn his head different ways. I'm not doing it very well at the moment because I've got to stretch over. It should take 2 people to do the head because it's everyone's only got 2 hands and there's 4 controllers, and then it would probably take 1 or 2 more people to control the legs. We got to dress him in fur. Like I said, we're going to give him like little toenails, and his face is going to be got to add a mouth. He's going to have like little buck teeth and canines, and he's got 6 eyes. You can see them drawn on there for now. But yeah, he's a full-blown practical effect. And then I'm going to make another one that's more of a hand puppet for close-ups. So let's see, let's go back here. Where am I? There. So again, this is, like I said, I'm not using AI as like a cash grab so I can just crank out a bunch of crap and, content farm or whatever.
It's assistive.
It's assistive, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't need to be big anymore. I just, but
Well, that's the really important distinction with a lot of the grousing about AI, I think, is that there's a certain little bit of stigma from people who use it in what would be considered inappropriate fashions. I've been thinking about it a lot since I talked about it on Sunday. There's a stigma around the concept of knockoff. Always has been.
Yeah, but it's like I don't even like. Was it Wally Wood, the comic book artist? I think he said something like, if you can, if you've got a photo of it, use the photo. If you can trace it, trace it. If you can cut it out and glue it down, do that. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
In my mind, I don't care about, people do like the swipe files or whatever, they like, oh, this is an artist that drew this from this, ad for a shampoo or whatever. It's like, I don't care, I really don't. And I think it's kind of, people get a little too busybody, and it's like, did you enjoy it? Did it create something meaningful for you? If so, great. Doesn't matter how the person got that done, as long as it came from them. If it didn't, then just move on with your life. It's like we've only got a few decades on this planet. I certainly don't want to wait around for, the opportunity, somebody with millions of dollars. It's just never going to happen with me. So I'm going to tell my story anywhere I want. And you know who is perpetuating the anti-AI stigmatizing the most?
The feminists?
No.
Sorry.
No. What in a way it is, it's the same. Okay, so you see what I call it's like, funnily enough, it's a lot of Marxists that really are out to get this stuff. I tease them. I'm
feminists. Like, no, we're saying the same thing.
I'm like, but it's seizing the means of production. They're like, that's not what it means. I'm like, no, you what it means to you is just an excuse for your bloodthirstiness. You want to drag people out of their homes and shoot them so you can take their stuff.
And thank God I love you.
And that's the,
that's what it is, but that's exactly what it is.
But it's under this, they kind of worm their way in with that, appealing to your desire to be a good person in the same way that an abusive spouse does. It's like, oh, I just want what's best. You want to be a good person, don't you? And then they do whatever they want and treat you like crap. But the people behind that, the people who take advantage of that, because remember, after they're done with the useful idiots, they always take them out back and because they know they'll never stop. But the people driving this are the corporations that are developing the proprietary AIs, because the open source AI is eating their lunch at the moment. But Adobe, Microsoft, Elon Musk, I'll give him a little bit of leeway because he made his AI open source. But they go in and they
Grok?
Yeah, that's the one. But
Grok
Microsoft
is an idiot.
Adobe, all these major corporately owned proprietary AIs. Those people that are developing that go to Congress, do all this scaremongering. And what that leads to is regulations, just like corporations get special, they've got enough money to overcome regulations that small businesses don't. So the small businesses can't compete. They are driving this because whatever laws get passed, whatever regulations, they can work around it. But the people in open source can't. AI is such an important issue at the moment because, like the Chinese government is using AI to oppress their people.
No.
This is...
The CCP would never oppress me. I couldn't even make it through the joke. Fuck.
But here's the thing, though, about that is because we know this is possible, AI, to me, it should be addressed as a 2A issue. It is... because honestly, it's like whatever bad you think an individual can do with AI, a government or a corporation can do worse if you don't have it. And Elon Musk is right about this when he said the best defense against bad AI is good people with AI. It needs to be available
Well,
to
that's the
everyone.
best defense against everything bad is
Yeah.
good people wielding it.
Yeah, and if all these regulations go through all these laws, like we're
The
gonna
only-
just we
The only
will
people that'll
lose.
be able to use it is Microsoft and
Well, and
Yeah.
and more importantly, I think that like that's a major factor. But one of the other big things is that they are trying to push a favorable sentiment towards being able to copyright style, or and that would be a disaster for
Yeah.
everyone.
oh god, yeah.
And by the way, Raven Nevermore, yeah, absolutely right. 2A and a 1A issue.
Yeah,
I
it
absolutely agree.
definitely is
Oh,
kind of its
yeah.
own strange category. But
There is a
I mean,
great
if Pixar is allowed to, trademark kind of bubbly, like slightly bulbous animated 3D characters. You know what I mean? Then
Well,
like,
this
there's
goes-
a whole slew of things that are now gone. You know
you
what
could
I mean?
get sued again, going back to my analogy of an egg. Anyone could get sued for painting an egg. Someone could come along and go, I painted an egg like that first.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
and it would gum up the courts. It would make everybody afraid to create. Now I'm very much
What's
go ahead.
so funny is we settled all this too. We settled all this already, and now they're trying to reopen it and shut it down even more because it turns out when corporations can line the pockets of politicians, they can pay the politicians to shut down their competition.
Yeah, and exactly right. And that's a whole other. You're gonna do a whole other show around that. But I'll just say this. I believe that there should be a robust public domain. But the people that say that everything should be public domain from the like IP ownership and stuff is like bull. That shouldn't exist. It's like no, we need to incentivize people to innovate and create, and therefore patents and IP copyright should be available because you should be incentivized by being able to profit from what you create. But I do believe that the public domain, should exist, as well as the idea of if you see something in the public square and you think you can do a derivative or a better version of it or something that's influenced by it, you should be able to do that without fear of retribution in some way. That some idiot, and we know right now that they're everywhere online, will come out of nowhere to try and ruin you. And that's what, like I said, these like psychos who just want to they're not thinking, they're just, again, the term NPC, they're, you see them posting, it's like you look at their posts, they're not even actually writing any thoughts of their own. They're just constantly reposting. Yeah, reposting every day. And, and then their little friends are like commenting like, absolutely, I totally agree, that sort of thing. And then they get really, and the funny thing is, it's like, I'll ignore them, but I'll post something about what I'm doing. And there's like little snide comments and that sort of thing. And then I'll clap back because I don't care. I'll say what I'm thinking. And they're like, hey, I thought you were a cool guy, but you're making it really hard to be nice to right now. I'm just like, screw you. You were the one like coming in with your little snide, it's like, you don't have a thought in your head. And it's like, I don't, I let you post whatever you want and I'm cool with you. I don't go and bother you about it all the time.
My favorite thing to do is when people are like, I didn't say that. I literally, because when I enter those conversations, I'm like, all right, I'm screenshotting everything that they say. And when they tell me that they didn't say the thing, I'm just going to repost it and be like, I was just quoting you, bro.
Yes, you.
dude. Yeah. Like, oh, dude, I've shut down big names with that one. They're like, nobody said anything about that. I was like, I was just quoting what was said. Screenshot. But I also go through it and like highlight the fun areas of their tweet. Yeah. Funny enough, people stop reposting you. As soon as you, because that's the thing, right? We're going to enter the battle on Twitter. It's like, all right, whatever. They're going to repost, because you're not just going to go in the comments, because that doesn't get seen. So they're going to repost you, right? And so I screenshot everything that they fucking say, and then I'll repost to be like, I never said that. And then I repost it, and I highlight the sections, and then all of a sudden they stop reposting. And then they start commenting. It's like, why don't you want that to get seen? Why weird? Weird that after I literally use your words to prove the thing that you shifted on 30 seconds later, you all of a sudden you're commenting because you know that it doesn't. Yeah. It's really funny to watch that shit.
This is, and again,
really quickly, Richard, do you have to get going, good
Oh.
sir?
Yes, I am going to go ahead and dip out here. I can feel my brain getting more and more,
I have that
mushy.
effect on
Like,
people.
No, it's not you. It's the time. I have started getting into more of a responsible bedtime routine, so I can wake up and do things early. And
Gotcha. I thought I was having
now a
like
creature of habit. I'm getting older and more set in my ways.
I thought I was having that dissolving classroom effect on you. It's just the more I talk, your brains just start running out of your nose and eyes. It's just
no. I mean, I listen to Royce every week, so I'm
Fuck you motherfucker. Well, but yeah, and he's running away from me now. He's like, yeah, I can't deal with Royce anymore. I can't be on Iron Age nights. I need somebody else to fucking
that's exactly what I said. I said I just can't take it anymore.
Yeah,
and
it was no, it wasn't.
It was a whole dramatic moment on our Gilded Chat.
I believe the exact DM was, I have put up with you for too long, Royce. Yes. You are literally driving me insane. The fact that I have to do a show with you. Oh my God. I know what I'm doing on Twitter tomorrow. I'll be like, this is what Richard said to me.
Lord. Please don't put that on Twitter.
Photoshop can be used to make screen caps too.
I'm not going to Photoshop it. I'm just going to type it out and have fucking fun with it.
Well, Richard, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to see you. Wait till you get to my age and then
well, I hope that I'm doing as many awesome things as you are. Dude,
you are
as soon as possible, honestly.
What you guys do matters. It really does. And that's,
I appreciate that.
If I remember correctly, it was Richard that introduced me to you.
I'll take credit for that. I don't know.
No, I'm like 90% sure, like, because we did Iron Age Nights 1, which don't know how the fuck that happened. And you're like, hey, I've got this guy for next week. He's down to do it.
Because
the whole
Chris was writing the article.
Yeah, that's right. Because you just wrote the article.
No, we talked before.
I didn't know about Chris before that.
I think
I think it was you. I'm
pretty sure that Chris, you wrote an article for me about the quantum terror and possibly about something else.
I think I did like 3 or 4 articles that were like just at the beginning.
October-November time frame.
Yeah.
And then you came on and we talked on Iron Age Nights. And then later I think you posted that article that's been so prescient. And that was in like December of 2022, I think.
I think it was about 2 years ago. Yeah. I mean, it all runs together for me.
Something like that.
Well, that's when we started, was 2022. Like that's when we.
So you were pretty early on there.
Yeah, dude.
But I'm glad to be an early adopter.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you. And before I try and remember more things, this is not the not the time for me to try to remember anything.
It is not the hour, nor is it the day.
I should probably get going soon too, but I want to ask you guys.
Wait! Before you ask anybody anything, I'm going to wave goodbye. Everybody, watch the Anvil
number
4.
Quick question for you.
For me?
Don't go. Quick, it's just.
Don't have to go, Richard.
Get a staple gun. You can keep them open for 2 seconds.
Tape.
Have you seen? And I'm doing a David Lynch thing here. Have you seen The Amazing Digital Circus?
Yes.
I
am wrapping my mind around that. I actually I'm going to go back and watch it again this weekend, both episodes.
All right. So get going, Richard. This is something that I just want to talk about for a few minutes because it's independent animation.
Oh,
and it got, 30 million views in 2 days.
Well, but they had done stuff previously to this.
They had, that's true. Yeah. But all right, bye, Richard.
Bye, Richard.
Okay.
But okay. So, because I need to gush about this a little bit too. The Amazing Digital Circus, just the way that it starts off from the episode 1. And they'd done what was the series they'd done before? The Glitch did a series before The Amazing Digital Circus. What was it? Do you know? It was something monster. Something monster.
So I think something murder.
No, something monster. I thought I'll go back. But anyway, So I'm driving the other day. I'm like, shit, I need something to put on. And I saw Matt Pat had posted something on GT Live. He's actually still on his head of the Game Theorist. And so they were talking about the second episode of this thing. So I literally paused the live stream or the upload because they don't do lives. And I went back and I watched. I'm like, well, if Matt Pat's talking about it, I kind of want to see, because I'm actually kind of following that path myself on the channel now. If you go back and watch my last like 3 or 4 episodes, like I'm kind of doing that thing because I really fucking I didn't mean to get in the culture war stuff, but I did. But the Amazing Digital Circus, dude, you're watching it and you're like, wait, like these guys are really fucking smart, and they're using film tricks, and they're putting shit in there that unless you know about it, you don't even realize what you're seeing. And between the imagery, the colors, the Amazing Digital Circus, and it's fun and it's got a dark undertone to it, but it's something, believe it or not, that children could still watch. It's something that's got those funny notes that kids would have no idea, but it's got a lot of these darker themes and these incredible elements that you as a parent could watch too, and you can go, oh shit, like it's okay. Go on, Chris. Go talk about it.
Okay, so again, like you said, they have done other stuff in the past, but I was introduced to it by my daughter, my older daughter, who is she's got a birthday coming up, but she's in her late teens, and I don't want to say too much about her because I like to keep that private. But
nope, you're fine. Totally.
She introduced me to it, and she sat my wife and I down, and it was like, the first episode, I want you to watch it with me. Which, it's like my daughter's very quiet. So anytime she says, hey, mom and dad, I want you to be in on this, like we stop and go like, okay, this is important. Like, let's watch it. And then the second episode just came out. And like I said, in 2 days, 30 million views, which on YouTube, and they have a merch store, that's major success. And that is like, those are numbers that Netflix dreams of. Like, I doubt Rebel Moon did anywhere near that.
The first one had hundreds of millions. The first episode did,
and I'm sure it's going to keep building up.
And I hope that they do, because they've got. Go on, but anyway, go on.
Well, here's the thing about it that really kind of made me kind of take note. Well, several things did, and I feel like I could do a whole video essay on what this is. But I'm a big. I love the live streams, and I love your show, and I love Critical Drinker, and I love Razor Fist, and I love Pop Culture Minefield. And by the way, there's a new one that I'm going to recommend to everybody called Represent This. The guy is doing amazing videos on aliens, Star Wars, Planet of the Apes. He did a great one on Galaxy Quest, like all this stuff that we love. But ultimately, these are older franchises. It's like, my daughter's an Alien fan. We're going to see Alien Romulus more because we're Fede Alvarez fans than the fact that I'm a major Aliens fan. And I do have friends that worked on it who are effects artists. So, I'll check that out. But most kids are not clamoring for those franchises anymore, however good we think they are. And this story that has been created, when I watched it, I realized these kids see themselves in these characters' situation. They feel seen by the storytellers in this. And what is it? It's a story of someone who's like feels ripped out of any sense of orientation or confusion, or they're in a world of confusion. They have no way of orienting themselves. They have no way of understanding what's going on. They're being dominated by this. Well, let me finish. I want to get through.
No, because I want to talk about this with you. This is so fucking great. Like, if you guys haven't seen, I'll pull it. I'll drop the link.
Well, it's essentially they're being kind of like led around and dominated by this almost Luciferian ringmaster who's just like wacky and completely incoherent. Sends them on these LARP fests, and and characters are like, around the main character, whose name is Pomni. They're either so nervous and and just broken by this environment, or they've checked out and they act like they don't care and they're cynical and embrace everything.
Okay,
And
I do have to interject here. This is very important. And there is an immense lack of control with the main character.
Mhm.
There's an immense lack of control and a feeling of outburst or almost insanity. Like she wants to lose it. Because I just keep going with what you were saying, but I feel like that fits in exactly with what you're talking about.
well, there's also characters don't die, but there's a kind of a fate worse than death called abstraction. And when you abstract, you get thrown into a dark pit, which is kind of like the lowest level of hell.
And the one character, he could get rid of them, and he shows that he has the power to get rid of them, but he doesn't.
Well, there's
He doesn't.
there's mystery behind it, but
oh, dude, the second episode, he snaps, and the one thing just
well, don't spoil it for people
won't.
because that's
but
a
no,
big.
No, but you know, but at the end of the second episode, dude snaps, and you go, wait a minute, but he should be able to do that to the abstracted, but he doesn't. Please tell me you caught that.
Well, there's a lot that I've caught on to. What I'm talking about is like, it's not just like the plot. It's what these kids are identifying in these characters that they feel like this is the world that they feel like they live in, even though not literally, but you know, who do we have? You know, our leader is demented and non-caring, and people are treated as disposable. They are not able to orient themselves. They don't understand how to find meaning. There are people that are just telling them, like, just go along with the Mad Max violence, you know. And what is Mad Max to them? They did a Mad Max parody.
I know.
But kids don't care about Mad Max. That's like to them, it's like the character even says it, like, that's all we do is just LARP. You know, it's like these are characters who the main character is still searching for meaning. And the thing is, she's starting to find it in the people around her. But every time she starts to find it, it gets pulled away from her. Again, people are treated like disposable. People are focused on things that are meaningless and yet ignore the things that do have meaning. And I think, I don't know if this is intentional, but it is,
right.
You know, something that is, I think, again, with storytelling, and this is, you know, our lives, our perception revolve around the stories that we tell ourselves, from the simplest of like the story of the bottle that we pick up, you know, the container that holds liquid, we're not looking at it at a molecular level, all the way to the stories of the Bible, Shakespeare. You know, we use stories to orient ourselves. And like going back to the Quantum Terror, I found things in the Quantum Terror after the fact that I didn't know were there, because I let all the things that are poured into me through my experiences be distilled and pour out into what I'm doing. That's what I do with everything. And I think that's what's happening with the Amazing Digital Circus, is that this is the distillery for how a lot of kids, not all kids, obviously there are kids who are able to orient themselves, get it together, but this is a very disjointed, crazy world that we live in. And I think it's being distilled in the Amazing Digital Circus. And I think if you're a parent with kids who are like young teens to maybe even their 20s, you should be
about to enter there.
You should be, and they like this and they identify with these characters. You should be, instead of dismissing this, and even down to the style. The style is like the kids' cartoons that they grew up with when they were toddlers, before they became aware of all the madness.
I've seen people. Oh, that's right, because you were going back and forth with 365 Infantry on Twitter about that. Not in a bad way. Just you guys were just having.
Just a discussion. Yeah,
you guys were just having a discussion about it. And what's so funny is like 365 Infantry is not the typical Gen Z. Like, and he's 22. He is not the typical. I would say that his film knowledge could. In fact, I will say this. I think his film knowledge would rival that of yours or even somebody older than you. He
Well,
is.
I've got a lot
he-
to learn myself. You know, I
Well,
get
no, I'm just saying, just films that he's and even like and soundtracks and stuff. 365 Infantry is just on. He's on cosmic crack. I don't know where to get that, but he's
Well, I want to
for
say this. I like engaging people like that. And this is one of the privileges of having a little bit of success. Is suddenly I'm seen as someone worth like reaching out to and talking. And people send me stuff. Was that Shanatsky, who live streams with me sometime? I haven't gotten a chance to check this out yet because it's so thick it can stop a bullet. But he sent me this.
oh wow.
This novelization of Vampire Hunter D, and I
Mhm.
will get to it. It's like I've
I
got
have-
only so much bandwidth, but I'm interested in this because this obviously means something to him. And when my daughter brings something before me and says, "Dad, I want you to watch this," whether she's consciously doing it or not, she's trying to tell me something about herself. And I feel like, as much as we've, have this kind of pull yourself up by your bootstraps attitude, about a lot of things, just like do the work, be true to yourself, that sort of thing. Young people they can hear that, but they don't understand how. And I think we, as the older generation, need to be very mindful that, we can say, like, just get over it, just do it, whatever it is. But they also need our, they need to be able to tell us what they're thinking and feeling so we can identify it, we can connect with it because we were young once, and we can use it to help them orient themselves. Because characters like Pomni or Jax or Gummy Goo, or not Gummy Goo is how you say it, the Australian gator, which I won't give away about him. But
if you oh my god, if you guys haven't seen this, seriously, guys, you need to go. You guys need to go and for the older,
and you may not get it. That's the thing. I'm saying if you're older, you may look at it and go, "I don't get it. It's not for me." No, it's not for you, and that's the important thing.
But it can be if you're willing to accept there's something you can learn about the younger generation. It's like, so for instance, my oldest, she's going to be a teenager in the next year. She loves Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh yeah, yeah. We went and saw that movie.
And I haven't taken her to see that. Actually, once it comes out, I'm gonna rent it here, and because I still want to see it. And she knows about Five Nights at Freddy's because I watched Matt Pat and the Film Theorist like all the time for years. That was our family that was our family sit down. Oh, Matt Pat put out a new video. Let's get the kids together. We'll all watch Matt Pat together. Like that was our family entertainment. That and Death Battle, believe it or not. But dude, I think you're onto something with the Amazing Digital Circus and how I was looking at it from a technical perspective of meta commentary.
There's that too.
Meta commentary on psychological horror told in the aspect of retro filmmaking. Like that's where I went to it was that I did not look at it as a psychological leaning of young people and how they feel about the world around them with lack of control. And that is a totally new fucking perspective to me. And I'm actually going to have to rewatch. I'm probably going to rewatch it tomorrow before I get ready to record my next video.
I saw it right away. I saw it in this way that, the way that the characters feel, the way that they're treated, the way that they're discarded. Incredible. And also there is meta commentary on like older stuff because to them, it's what their parents like, but they're the ones being inundated with like franchise bloat on something that doesn't even mean anything to them because they weren't there for it like we were. And we're so hung up on it because we remember what it was like. It was like this, it's chaos. And like I said, this story is about characters who are trying to orient themselves. So when they're feeling confused, hurt, taken for granted, being told that, and like I said, it's like every generation suffers from the last generation going like, I don't understand what these kids are saying. What's that word groovy? It's like,
Okay.
what's that band, the Beatles? Like what, it's like, and we keep repeating it because now
I will say this, and a lot of this is thanks to my wife. But my wife and I are, for instance, my dad couldn't understand why I would watch Digimon or Pokemon or Power Rangers or Yu-Gi-Oh. Although, funny enough, my dad built a Yu-Gi-Oh deck too. Like he just got into like my dad was just one of those guys. But he always like I might as well just stare at the wall. The wall was white, by the way. The wall was eggshell white. And I remember because that's the paint that my dad bought. But because dad, when he grew up, he watched Tom and Jerry and he watched the Flintstones and the Jetsons. And believe it or not, I used to sit there and watch those too because I saw the reruns. But I liked my own stuff when I was a kid too. And being such a young parent, I had 4 kids by the time I was 25. Or no, I'm sorry. I take that back. By the time I was 24, I had 4 kids by the time I was 24.
I thought you were going to say you had 8 kids by the time you were
No, God, no. No, sorry. Anyway, I had my first kid when I was 20, and our last kid when we were 24. There's a gap in there. There's a gap in there for the smallest one. But the funny thing is the benefit of being such a young parent is that I still remember what it was like. And even in my 30s now, I have for many years forced myself to remember what it was like to be a kid. And it's why I have begged people, like, growing up, I had Batman Beyond, I had Static Shock, I had the new superheroes of the day, right? I had, Pokemon and Digimon, and then you go to Nickelodeon and like I had the Gargoyles on Disney, I had the show Rocket Power, I had all of these different franchises when I was a kid that I got to watch that were not my parents' generation. That being said, some of them harken back to the old days. Batman Beyond, obviously, is just a Batman for a new generation. Where the hell is that for my kids?
That's the thing.
Not there, and I'm looking for it. So when you start talking about the amazing digital circus, and you start talking about it in the way that you're talking about it, I am there because I want that thing. I don't care if my kids like the shit that I liked when I was a kid. I don't give a fuck.
Well, let me wrap it up.
Them to have something. Go on. Go for it. Sorry.
Yeah,
Chris.
let me wrap it up with this because I do have to get going.
No, and we'll probably call it quits there as well. We didn't see anything come in through the PayPal direct donos or super chats on Rumble, so we should be all caught up.
So my daughter and I, and thank you everyone for joining us, by the way. I appreciate every single one of you. And I
definitely go check out Chris. If you don't go check out Chris, I'll
And I don't, by the way, I don't expect everybody to agree with me about everything. It's like the different ideas. I like to listen. I won't agree with everything, and I don't expect everyone to agree with me. And if I lived in that world, I wouldn't be happy. I like being introduced to different perspectives. But my older daughter, and now that my younger daughter's getting older too, she's getting into this territory as well, because there was kind of there's a big gap in age between the two of them. So there's kind of like the younger stuff and the older stuff, and now it's starting to converge. But like the younger daughter's starting to take an interest in horror movies too. But there are 4 points. Actually, my younger daughter is involved in this. I wrong on a couple of counts. 4 things that belong to my kids' generation that is for them and I can enjoy too, but it is still theirs, and I want it to be theirs. Stranger Things means a lot to them. The last season meant a lot. My daughters are really starting to like the Blumhouse horror movies, which are aimed more towards girls. Megan, we loved Megan. I thought Megan was a great commentary as well. People say it's the dangers of AI. I was like, no, Megan represents children being exposed too fast to too much on the internet and being overwhelmed and having an existential crisis from it. It's not about AI. It's about kids which is what the Amazing Digital Circus is also about to an extent. My daughter also loves Evil Dead Rise. specifically,
Hmm.
horrible things happen to children in that movie, which my daughter can identify with those kids. And when I see how my daughter responds and like posts about them on, because she has an Instagram account, which is limited, you know, she posts about those kids, like little fan things and that sort of thing, or the black phone. Again, horrible things happening to kids. But essentially, these are characters that they
Bless you.
are, and not just her. I watch all the fandom and that sort of thing have the same connection. They fall in love with these characters. They identify with them. If they could hang out with them, that they totally would. And to see that horrible things happen to them help them to understand that, okay, I'm not alone in the fact that I live in this really confusing world that I'm having trouble finding an anchor for. And that's really what it is, these stories, they love these stories because they identify with those characters, which is good, but it's also something that I feel like, for me, the reason that I wanted to make movies and I wanted to make comic books as well, which is a whole other subject that I won't get into tonight. But I remember being a kid riding my bike to, a mile with my $5 allowance to the drugstore with the spinner rack. I could afford a couple of comic books and an ice cream. Or maybe if there weren't comic books, I, might get a Fangoria magazine or Cinefantastique, something like that. But, I remember my dad saying to me, I said, I want to do comic books. And Raven Nevermore, Evil Dead Rise is the latest Evil Dead movie, and it actually is good. It's not my favorite in the series. I like the 2013 for the reboots or the continuations. Evil Dead's the only franchise that hasn't let me down yet. I love all Evil Dead, but I digress. I remember my dad saying to me, Christopher, you want to do comic books, but that's for kids. And I said, Dad, do you think kids make the comic books? Like, there are adults out there writing these stories and drawing these pictures. I'm like, I think there's some joy in creating things that entertain young people, make young people dream, make young people want to do things. And, ultimately that's what I'm here for. And if I can create something that does that, and also to helps them to orient themselves and grow into adulthood, not lose the joy of those stories, but also find something useful in it, not preach to them, but just something useful, something that they can identify, and to help them make decisions as they grow, or we orient ourselves with stories. That's what I want to do. And again, like, I don't have a lot of money. I will use whatever methods I take. And of course, I love winning the award, and I love being able to push the technology. But ultimately, it comes down to, when I make it, I want there to be an emotional connection. I want them to be able to experience pain, fear, but also joy and affection for the characters, and come away with something that they felt they saw themselves in some way, not, because the character looked like them, but they could relate to the character. And that in that story, they would think to themselves, the person who created that understands me, not individually, not personally, but they understand me. They live in the same space that I do, and they're able to articulate it. And I can identify with that. And therefore, this has meaning to me. And that is why I think the Amazing Digital Circus is great, and why these movies that my daughters love, and I love going to the movies, and why, even though I would love for the old franchises to have some sort of resurgence or get good again, I would rather just keep my copies of what originally made me love it, and just live there when I decide to visit it whenever.
Yes.
I have no interest in bringing any of these franchises back again. The Alien Romulus, I'm not really counting on it being that great, but it does have friends of mine that work on it who are really good at practical effects. And Fede Alvarez, who directed Evil Dead 2013, is someone that I'm a fan of. So I could find some enjoyment in there, but my daughter's only excited about it because she likes the first 2 Alien movies. And she loves Fede Alvarez too, because she knows he's the Evil Dead guy. So that's where I'm coming from. And that's where I think, ultimately what I came here tonight to say. So I'm glad I was able to kind of bring it around and articulate that. And thank you for giving me your platform to be able to do it.
Giving you the platform. I'm waiting for you to come back.
I'll come back again.
Dude, I love the hell out of you, man.
Thank you. I love you guys too.
I love what you're doing. For the chat, because part of doing this every week is, I do get amped up for the show, but I do hope that the chat understands, like, I've been following Chris and what he's been doing for the last year and a half. I've been waiting for Escape from Planet Omega 12 since he first came on for the first time and talking about that.
I've been working on this since 2017, by the way. This is a long time in the making.
And here's the thing. It's like,
you were mentioning
I'm
it
down for the
during the first
PG-13 version because I want something that I can put on and the wife and I watch it. And if the kids walk in, it's fine. Like I want the PG-13 version for me personally, just because, I think it'd be really cool to see, but you know what? It won't keep you much longer. Chris, where can we find you and what do you do?
Oh, well, thank you very much. Well, I think you all know what I do at this point. But please find Christopher Moonlight Productions on YouTube, because I'd love to keep growing that channel. And not only do I have my effects stuff and my film, but I've done interviews. I do a lot of practical effects interviews, industry professionals, Alec Gillis, Matt Winston, who's Stan Winston's son, Steve Johnson,
we do have a direct donation from PayPal from the Ultimate Kahuna. He says, Christopher, how is sound design coming together? And do you have all of your voice talent?
I do have all of my voice talent. And sound design is me with for the sound effects, I have subscriptions to sound libraries, and I do create some of my own sounds in the garage. I also have a sound mixer. His name is Kyle Johnson. And I'm also working with a composer, Gordon Michael Shapiro, who does a lot of video game stuff. But he's also a movie composer. He loves this project and has given me a really good rate. And I am absolutely in love with his scores. You can actually look him up he's got a website where you can hear samples of his music. It is epic. Like he's got the adventure thing.
Yeah,
down.
I love that shit. That's
Nice.
so great.
And I'm really excited to be working with him. Voice talent, I can only announce 2 people at the moment, which are Val Merrick, who is a very good friend of mine and I've worked with on The Quantum Terror. He's voicing the little robot Blip. Val is also known as the co-creator of Howard the Duck, done a lot of comic book work, brilliant artist. And Bill Oberst Jr., who is a daytime Emmy winner. So he did something called Take This Lollipop, where he played a perverse serial killer. It was like an online thing that you could send to people. But what happened is really funny. So he's like, this really deranged. He's the sweetest guy in the world, by the way. And
he's really sweetest guy. Whoa.
Yeah, he is. It's so funny. He's a devoted Christian. He is very thoughtful, mild mannered. You turn on the camera, he's like sweaty. He's like So you send this video to people. What you don't tell them is you upload a picture of whoever you're sending it to. So you see him. He's like in the serial killer murder basement, and he's like rubbing himself and clawing himself, and he's sweaty and drooling and foaming, and he's pawing at this photo, and then it cuts to the photo, and it's a photo of the person you sent the video to, and then he's gets in a car and drives off like he's going to kill you. So he won a daytime Emmy for that. it's amazing.
That's
We also
On
worked together.
par.
He did a one-man traveling play where he played Ray Bradbury, and I did the visual effects for projected elements behind him. So as he
Oh, very
acted,
cool.
we do these animated elements that he would kind of like play off of as if the animated elements were another character. He's a wonderful guy. So he plays Captain Burrows, who is the so this isn't really a spoiler. This is something that you learn very early in the film. This is the husband of Tara. He's murdered. She goes into an escape pod with his body, and he's absorbed by this creature, this gelatinous creature that starts to take on his personality. It essentially duplicates his personality, but it's this gelatinous like humanoid blob, and it's giant, and it's kind of like, it's like beautiful woman and this big hulking muscle that protects her and fights monsters and giant robots to save her.
Which I think we saw in the teaser trailer.
Yeah.
It's in there. And anyway, that character is like, he knows he's not her husband, but he has all her husband's memories, his emotions, his personality. So essentially he's like, I know your husband is dead, but I am essentially him, copied, and he would want me to protect you. So it's like her protector is
kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's
giant thing. So, and this is an opportunity. Again, it's like, she's not a girl boss. She will learn to survive on this planet, but she can't fight giant monsters. We want to see blob creatures fighting giant monsters, don't we?
Oh, yes.
So that's who Bill is playing. But combined with the sound, we're going to have sound is actually the thing that we're dedicating the biggest portion of the budget to, because I believe that without a great sound mix, the visuals, no matter how good the visuals are, they will suffer.
There are, believe it or not, YouTubers who have also figured that out and have done examples of it. And it's like good video versus good sound. And there was one guy, he did like 4K video and then just absolute trash sound in an example.
Mm-hmm.
And then also was like, but how about this? And he did like the lowest, like 720p or whatever, like really low quality video, but high quality sound, and did the examples of it. And, like people in the comments were just like, oh my God, I never realized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like sound. There's something about us being audible creatures.
There's, I
can deal with bad video. I can't do bad sound. I cannot do bad sound.
At some point I do want to do, not now because I'm working on other things, but I want to do I'd like to do another DVD edition of the Quantum Terror, because there's AI technology that can help fix some sound issues. But also, I did a surround sound mix of the Quantum Terror, which video on demand services don't support surround sound. And I was really pleased with that mix, which Kyle also helped with. And also here's something kind of funny, a little kooky off the wall thing. So I discovered, I was a big fan of Carl Jung, just going back to Carl Jung and the Quantum Terror for the longest time. I was always looking for videos on Carl Jung. And in 2012, through my searches on Carl Jung, I came across a yet to be famous Jordan Peterson.
Oh, no kidding.
And he was, just
so
starting.
That was one of his early lectures then.
Mm-hmm.
It was just when he had classroom lectures on his YouTube channel. And he was starting to become known just for like clapping back at some of the communists on his campus and that sort of thing. But I discovered Jordan Peterson through researching Carl Jung, and was really kind of just like, oh, okay, cool. So at some point, somehow, some way, I would love to get in touch with Jordan Peterson and say, can you watch this movie? I'd like to ask you what it would take if you see in this movie what I think I've put in there involving Carl Jung, to do a DVD version of the Quantum Terror with a option for a Jordan Peterson commentary on the story. I think that would be awesome.
That might be a hard poll now with who he works for, but that would be fucking incredible.
I think he would see things in it that I have not yet seen. But it's one of those things now that he's, I still listen to stuff of his, and he'll say something and I'll be like, I did that in the Quantum Terror. And then I'll go back and like look at it with the context of what he said about it. And I'll go like, holy crap, that's, and like I said, these are things that are ingrained in our collective conscious that again, I tell stories by letting the world pour itself into me and I distill it. And when I do that, it's not my, like, I can control what I can control, but I am not, I'm not consciously aware of everything that comes out of it. And so I don't know. I just think that would be kind of cool. Is it a long shot? Yeah. But so was winning that award. And so is the fact that I got to work for Studio ADI, a Oscar-winning special effects company that I grew up like trying to emulate everything they did. So is the idea that I could work for Ray Bradbury. So is the idea that I got to briefly work on a comic project with Stan Lee and his daughter. So it's a lot of things. So why not just, keep that in my mind as something that would be cool, and then maybe an opportunity will pop up for me to do something like that. But honestly, I think Jordan Peterson would watch that movie and instantly see what's in it, and probably find it interesting if I do say so myself. So, but anyway, going back to
a matter of you reaching him, he'd probably be totally on board.
Well, let me go back to the initial question, which is where can people find me? Because I should get going. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Christopher Moonlight Productions. You can find at Christopher Moonlight on Instagram. I mostly do Instagram posts outside of YouTube. That's where I hang out most. I am on Twitter as C Moonlight Films, but look for Sci Exploitation across Facebook, Instagram, and X. That's consistent. That's where I post specifically about Escape from Planet Omega 12. You can also find social media for the Quantum Terror. Easy to search that. It's not the Quantum of Terror. So many times I've been on live streams like, you did the Quantum of Terror. I'm like, no, it's not a James Bond movie. Maybe I should do a Lovecraftian spy movie and call it the Quantum of Terror. Is like,
there you go.
So cool.
But
wait, but you've got to do it Austin Powers style, where the creepy Cthulhu creature is like hitting on James Bond, and he's like trying to get like the creepy Cthulhu creature is the bombshell. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! What did I do? Okay, Mr. Daniel P. Riley,
So many
what do
thoughts.
you do?
So many thoughts. So many
What do
thoughts.
you do? How do you Daniel?
Well, we
talk
all
about
know
what-
who I am. I am Daniel P. Riley of whimsyland.org, literary coaching and services. I hope you take your project to the next level and make it a reality. I also create comic books, as we all know. The G-Sedai issue number 2 campaign should be starting at the end of the month. I'll keep talking about it as Fridays come up, and I'll have new updates in between. And I write my novels as well, which you can find on Amazon and anywhere books are sold.
Awesome, man. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being in the chat.
thanks,
I
guys.
do appreciate. Oh, by the way, I wanted to shout out Maji Chan as well. She has sent some direct donations on PayPal as well, and I want to say thank you to everybody for sending the direct donations.
Hi, Maji Chan.
Over to Rumble and sending the super chats over there. It is definitely a major switch coming over to a non-monetized channel, and you guys have been awesome so far. So thank you guys so much. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you all next time. Oh my God, this is a great show. I love this. This is awesome.
That's so much fun. Thank you.
Dude, thank you so much for being here. Oh.
I can't wait for more updates, and I definitely need a poster for Escape from.
Oh
Omega
yeah,
12.
I gotta do some merch. That's a big.
Oh yeah,
That's the fun part of being a fan is getting cool merch.
I have literally been keeping a space open on the wall next to my fireplace here, just for that.
No kidding.
I gotta
For
do a
real.
DVD push too. DVDs. I got a few, but I gotta figure out the shipping. That's the expensive part.
Yeah,
That's pretty.
shipping is always a pain.
Making DVDs is inexpensive. It's the shipping that kills you.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's true. DVD. Well, that's the thing too. Is DVDs are so inexpensive that a lot of people don't realize. By the way, shout out to Brian McCoppin.
Brian.
$5 over on Locals. Thank you so much, Brian. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here on Underage Nights. Tune in on Sunday for Sunday Coffee, where I read all of your comments. And until next time, cheers, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Ned.